Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. We are seemingly now on the verge of a unification bout between WBO champion Joseph Parker and IBF and WBA champion Anthony Joshua. And you can almost smell it. These things are like a snowball effect. They gather momentum, and right now that snowball is gathering pace as it hurtles down the hill. It's like halfway down. So I'll come to a video message from Eddie Hearn that he has directed directly at Joseph Parker, words for Parker. But first, Eddie Hearn says in respect of making the fight, he told Sky Sports, we are single digits, percentages away right now, and we have to be creative. We have to look at the revenue streams. We're already talking about potential venues, potential dates, so it's a good sign. I believe they want the fight. They have done a good job on Anthony Joshua because his message to me last night was very simple. Let me at him. He's winding him up, pushing the right buttons to get the bite out of Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua wants to fight Joseph Parker. He wants to do a job on him, and we hope it's the next fight for the spring. Hearn then directed this message to Parker, and this was something that Parker's promoter at Duco Events was actually emailing around this morning to make media and others aware of.
Joseph Parker, you are the WBO world champion. You're undefeated. There's been a lot of talk. You believe Joshua is the weak link. You believe he has a glass jaw. If that is the case, you better jump on this opportunity before he gets beat to somebody else. Take this fight, get the win, become the biggest star in world boxing, make your biggest purse by multiple times, and come and join the party in British boxing right now.
Very interesting indeed. For me though, the Hearn comments in the video clip, it represents a shift. The positioning now has moved from adversarial daily jibes in the media between Higgins and Hearn to what feels like actual promotional type speak that is being employed. The email out from Duco on a Saturday, it's a sign, to me at least, that this thing has legs, that we're getting close. It feels like all involved have done most of the hard yards now. And if that's the case, hopefully the ironing out of the rest, it falls into place quickly. And that would be great. Early Christmas gift. Then we can put this tiresome negotiation phase behind us. We can start talking about the potential matchup. So if the negotiation is almost over, the what next? That's interesting to speculate about. Presumably, if the deal is done soon, there will be some sort of event called in the UK to announce it, and Parker would need to be in attendance for that, and Higgins and co would no doubt be in tow. But until then, whenever then is, my pick is we will now see Eddie Hearn start to talk up Joseph Parker more and more, and at the challenge he represents for Anthony Joshua. Because after all, Hearn has to sell the event to the public, which in turn, the better he sells it, the more money he makes for all involved. It will be very interesting to see where and when this clash would take place. I mean, we have heard previously that because of the cold weather and the football season, that a lot of the stadiums in the UK would be out, and the 20,000 seat O2 Arena has been touted as a front runner. But you'd think that this sort of unification would actually deserve a bigger and better venue. I'm not saying there's nothing against the O2, it's just a bit small. Anthony Joshua, you know, for a Pulev and Takam and that sort of stuff, that's 80,000 in a stadium. For a unification, you'd think, oh, he'd easily be able to sell the same, but I guess availability is key. So are they going to stay in the UK or maybe look somewhere else on the continent? I mean, I know that they had also at one point mooted the Middle East, somewhere like Dubai, but who knows? I mean, I would think that they would keep it in the UK, but you never know. There will be demand for this fight. I mean, a lot of people, sure, a lot of casuals won't necessarily know who Joseph Parker is, but I'm sure Eddie Hearn will tell them. And they will think, okay, we've got this strong New Zealander who's going to take on Anthony Joshua. I think Joshua can win. I mean, you can sort of see how people will take it. Whereas, you know, there's a lot of people who believe Joseph Parker is actually in with a great shout here. And I'm one of them. I think this is a much closer fight than a lot of people give it credit for. He's a very tough and durable opponent. And if he's coming in lighter than he has for his past couple of fights, we may see a more explosive and quick version of Parker. He certainly has looked not his best when he's been at this heavier weight. He was 246 and 250 respectively for the past couple of fights, and he didn't look quite right. Sure, he had a better gas tank for the Fury fight. I mean, that was a stinker stylistically, but something just wasn't quite gelling. And we know that the pressure is building for Parker, and he's put it on himself, saying he needs a KO. And he does think he can knock out Anthony Joshua. Very confident on that. And clearly, Higgins and co. have been pushing this glass jaw issue. I actually think Anthony Joshua, I mean, maybe he's slightly chinny, but he got up after taking Klitschko's best. And that was a really good punch. I mean, in some of the other fights he's been in, he's taken some shots, but he's come back from it. So I think to say he's got a glass jaw is probably a bit unfair. But Joseph Parker sees something that he thinks he can exploit. He hasn't got knockouts in his most recent fights, but that's not to say that he can't in a fight like this. You know, right opponent, right style matchup, all that sort of stuff, it can really help a fighter. And Anthony Joshua, for Joseph Parker at least, is apparently a very good style matchup. That's what Kevin Barrett keeps telling us. And I actually agree with him. I think we would see a style of fight kind of similar to the way that Takam fought Anthony Joshua. But I think Parker would just do a better job of it because he's a better mover than Takam. A lot of people were giving Takam a lot of credit for the way that he moved against Joshua. And Takam's not a noted mover. So they see some things that they can exploit. I mean, Barry's talked about really predictable lead patterns from Joshua, stiff, robotic, all that sort of stuff. But, I mean, how much is that is just the hype? I mean, and the sort of trash talk that comes with trying to do these sorts of things. It's probably equal parts that and also truth. But we'd have to see. I mean, I really like this fight. It's a big challenge for both guys. Both are young, both are still learning on the job, and this will be a massive 2018. It's going to be a really good fight if they can get it done. From the sounds of it, it's looking encouraging. But in respect of Deontay Wilder, who Eddie Hearn, he's always signaled that that was likely to be a fight for Anthony Joshua later in 2018. Hearn says talks are ongoing and they are further apart in terms of expectations on both sides. But, you know, we'll have to see how this fight, if it does get made between Parker and Joshua, pans out. Because that fight may not be there for Anthony Joshua if Joseph Parker can do what Eddie Hearn is challenging him to do. Take him on, beat him, become one of the biggest stars in world boxing. So we have a roadmap for Anthony Joshua. It's in draft for 2018, but it's the same for Joseph Parker. So it's all there for both guys. And a win catapults Joshua to closer to being undisputed. And for Parker, same thing. He would have 3 belts. So it's all there for both guys to grab and take it. So here's hoping an official announcement comes soon. Starting to get excited about this one. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.